This is a hard one for me. You know, celebrities die all the time, and it's usually not a happy time. Usually it's a sad time because, you know, we celebrate their careers, we celebrate their achievements in media, in entertaining us as fans, right? This is different for me. I knew the day would come at some point, and I was hoping it wouldn't be soon because, you know, you always hope for the best. Chris Ayres died, and the difference between Chris Ayres and some other voice actor who you may have heard of or you may have seen on television or heard him in your favorite anime, for me, is that Chris Ayres was my friend. He was on the channel. He did two videos with me. He did an interview with me and he did a stream with me last year where we went past $40,000 to help him with his COPD. And he was doing better. He was, but then he got worse. He got sick, and he knew he would be living a life of that would be very, very hard for him because he had a lung transplant, and when you have a lung transplant, you you have a very hard life ahead of you because you can't get sick, you can't get a cold, you can't because your body has to get accustomed to the new lungs, and you're taking probiotic type of medicine. So any and probacterial medicine. So any kind of bacterial infection could just ruin you. Chris Ayres was my friend. I'm going to talk about him here in this video. I'm going to tell you all some things about Chris Ayres. Chris Ayres and I used to text a lot. He would call me on the phone. He would tell me things, how his life was. He'd ask me how I was. When his surgery ended, he would call me. I called him. I didn't speak to him for 4 months this year. Not because I got into a fight with him or anything like that. I just had a crazy, crazy summer, and I I talked to him on Facebook once or twice, but I didn't actually have that long conversation with him like I used to have, and I really regret that. Our last long conversation was back in March, where we actually talked on the phone for a long time. And he would call me and tell me, I'm at this hospital, I'm being moved over here. And he was always very optimistic. When they were shooting Dragon Ball Super Broly, they brought him back because at the time there was talk that his portrayal of Frieza in Broly may be his last one. Then he got the lung transplant and things wound up being okay. He died of COPD, which is the same thing that my father passed away of. So this is a very personal death for me. Chris Ayres was one of the only actors that I got to know of as a friend. He was one of the only actors who would constantly thank me for things that I did for him. And I would say, dude, don't worry about it. It's okay. And I would thank him for his friendship. It wasn't that he was just the voice of my favorite character with me. This guy was my friend. I'll share a story. Many years ago, many, many years ago, I went through a really bad breakup. I went through a really bad breakup many years ago. And Chris Ayres called me on the phone and talked to me for 2 hours about all the breakups he had gone through. And I could relate. Now, you have to understand why that means so much to me. Because this man, this was pre surgery. This was when he was really having problems breathing. and he still toughed it out despite being with a pipe in his mouth trying to breathe up his nose because he had COPD, he had emphysema from his lungs. He still spent 2 hours on the phone with me talking about my breakup, trying to make me feel better years ago. It's crazy because Chris Ayres loved horror movies, would always recommend them to me. After we recorded our interview for the channel, he 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 spent another hour talking to me on the phone. Oh, you gotta watch this movie. Check this out. I can't wait to go back to the movie theaters and watch this. Like he was dying to go back to the theaters, and he got to go back to watch. I think he watched Avengers Endgame, but then he got sick again. But he wound up, going back. Chris Ayres was friends with a lot of people. There's a lot of tears being shed today. A lot of tears being shed today for this man. I want to read what Crystal Laporte, those of you who saw my stream with Chris Ayres last year, remember Crystal is also an actress. She's an attorney as well. She she was on the channel and she was also his girlfriend and honestly his fiance because he was going to marry her. I'm going to read what she said here. On October 18th at 8:40 p.m., my world went dark. October 18th, so it happened yesterday. I didn't even know until today. I did not even know until today. Christopher Owen Ayres passed away peacefully, held close by his mother, brother, and girlfriend, and his arm wrapped around his Atticus pillow. I didn't even know he was this bad. He was able to pet the real thing hours beforehand. His hands were held, his face was kissed. We played Jim Croce, the Charlie Chaplin musical, and one hand stayed on my waist as I held the other while Unchained Melody played. The song we knew would be the first dance at our wedding. His mother and brother told stories of his childhood as he left. I have never been alive in a world where Chris wasn't. I am scared of it. So much of humanity's kindness, compassion, gentleness, bravery, generosity, and integrity were concentrated in one man. Everything feels so much colder. Chris loved you all. How much he loved other people filled the vast majority of our conversations. To those of you who truly loved him back, thank you. To those of you who stayed in touch, checked on him, reminded him that he was so much more than his job, you were the fuel of his fight. You fed the dreams of a future that kept him going longer than any normal person could go. I feel like I should have kept in touch with him more. I mean, we used to talk all the time, and just this summer, I just checked out from a lot of people. And now, like, I kind of wish I would have kept in touch with him more than I did. I still reached out to him once in a while, but I have a little bit of guilt. But I mean, I didn't know. Chris, I miss your face. I miss your voice. I miss your hugs. And I cannot even begin to comprehend that I will never walk in a doorway again and hear, "Hey, beautiful girl." He did say that to her. I miss being your girl. I miss you. I was always one half of Crystal and Chris. I don't want to be Crystal, but I will do my damnedest to try and see what you saw in me and try to be what the world saw in you. That's all true. He would say so many wonderful things about her. And I remember one time she called me on the phone and said wonderful things about him to me, just her and I. I just, I hope that wherever you are, the first thing you did was take a long, deep breath with your perfect lungs and danced again. I hope you saw a lot of people and animals that I know you miss so deeply. I hope it has all the horror movies, lots of blackened shrimp and candy and giant Doctor Who store. I know a lot of people reading this will ask, is there anything I can do? Please be more like Chris. Please, if you learn anything from this, put it in this world. It needs him. Please fill it with love and laughter always. Every time that Chris Ayres would post on Facebook or send a text message, every time, every time, he always wrote love and laughter always. In fact, I have him in my phone under my contacts. This is hard for me right now. This is, I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to cover his phone, but it was, oh, you probably can't see it. It's too bright. But it's now I'm getting phone calls because of this. I figured this was going to happen when I was recording the video. I I'll call you back. Um, I'm sorry. I'm recording this literally like without editing. It was a picture of Frieza because that was my Frieza. Even though I respect all the other Frieza voice actors, he was my Frieza, but he was more than that. He was my friend, and he went above and beyond. When he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garnished sun. Look, I was gonna do tomorrow. I'm still gonna work. I'm gonna record my review, and I got to get back to work. But tonight, like I was gonna do another video tonight. I'm not gonna do it. I don't I, no, I'm not doing it. This is my video for the day. Cuz I just this is tough cuz this man really cared about my well-being and I cared about his. And I would always tell him, I'd be like, "Man, look, my dad died of COPD. It doesn't mean you have to die. Like it doesn't mean you have to die." And now smoking has taken another life away from me and away from the world. The world needs more people like Chris Ayres, dude. And I mean that. Just all I can say is spread love and laughter. That's all I can say. I'll talk to you soon.